Hello, welcome to my new video. This is my second go at my first Seiko. I've just moved on to Seikos. We'll talk about the brand in a minute. The 7000s. All the websites I'm on, Seikos are mentioned all the time. People absolutely love the Seikos. The complicated, as for me, they've got day date, self-winding. So I thought I'd give it a go. So I bought a few off eBay, and this is my result. I've had a lot of problems. I've got a Seiko 5, which I'll show you shortly, uh, and I've had tons of problems. I got it all back together, clean and lubed, but I couldn't get it to run, and I've spent weeks, and I mean weeks, trying to get it. Not sure what to do. Got it all together, got it running. I've seen a problem. I just didn't want to take it apart again, so I've gone to a 7005, which is this one, very similar, uh, and this is it. You can see there. That's the Seiko 7009. That's a Series 5. Very robust, very good watch. But I did have a lot of problems with it, and it's running as it is there, but the day and date are wrong. The day is changing at the wrong 12 o'clock. So I'm going to take it apart again, and I'm just fed up. I just wanted to move on, so I started this one with the view of going back to it. So I will do, because it's a lovely watch, beautiful dial, and I will have a go. So this is a strip down of the gold one, the 7005. But they are cracking watches, very similar. A lot of parts are interchangeable with Seikos. That's what I love about them. The spares are easy to get. You can download the maintenance manuals. Takes seconds, and you can buy new old stock. You can buy new stock, or you can buy. There's plenty on eBay, and say all the parts are second hand. So this is my go at the light's a bigger diameter, and it's only got the date on. What I'm going to do on this video is just take it apart, because they are quite long, and this is it. So it's when we get going, it'll be at double speed, because otherwise it just makes the video a bit too long, and I'll finish when it's all in bits, and then off camera. I had hours of footage, but with all these problems, and I've had loads of problems with my video editing. I really couldn't. I thought I had a problem with it. I've been on eBay, but these people show you and they're so fast, and I'm old, and it was just awkward. But I've managed to sort it. I'm using CapCut. It's free, and it is quite good, but just took a bit of getting used to. So it's all practice and practicing and getting better and better. I've got overhead camera, which I'm using for this. What I want to do for my next one is put two cameras, so you can get more of an overview of what I'm doing. I'm doing the voiceover after the event, so it's a bit weird. I'm trying to anticipate what I'm doing as I'm watching the screen, so it's a bit strange. But here we go. So you'll see me in a minute. We'll pull it apart, and I'll try and describe what I'm doing. But they're a very strange watch. They're not strange. They're very different from a Swiss watch. Swiss watches, the bridges and that are very thick. The screws are sort of fit inside holes, or they sort of stand up, so it makes it easier to screw it in. Seikos aren't like that. They're not basic, but they are sort of simple. It's hard to describe, really. There's no frills, but they are very efficient, and lots of like good ideas, like simple ideas, and this is why they've been so successful. They've made the Swiss industry not look daft, but they've took a different aspect on, from a purity point of view, whereas the Swiss watches, they tend to be a bit. They've always been like that, and they're not going to change. A bit of arrogance, if you like. But these Seikos are some of the features it's got on, which I'll show you in a bit. They make a mockery of the Swiss industry, and that's why they've been so successful. So I'm going to start taking it apart in a second. I'll start up at the back. The back is already off on here. It's a front load. I take it out from the front. This is a excellent example on taking the stem out. what you do, you pull it out there and you just see a little tab. You just press that in. You see a little tab there. Look, when you pull it out for to adjust the hours, that little tab pops up. You pull the stem out, it's done. It's that simple. With a Swiss watch, you have to do the screw, you have to take it out. If you take it out too much, the setting leaf will fall off. The case, I'm taking the front off. There's a small little cut out there. That's not unique to Seiko, but it's everything's as if as if the sort of watch repair has been thought of. It comes apart. I'm taking the hands off now. Polythenes just protect the dial. The dial's in good order. The fingers are in good order. The hands, they'll just want to polish. They're a bit fiddly to polish because they're so delicate and lightweight, but they come off okay. It is a bit of a surprise in this watch for me actually because it's not running. I got it off eBay for about £30, I think, £28. They're not as popular as the smaller fives, but that's a Seiko. The big weight, the sort of quadrant, is the self-winding thing. I've just removed the dial, and there's a date on the dial, 02, and there's a date on the back, on the case back, which states this. So I think it was 1970, and the dial was tells me it was 72. So the case was made 2 years before the dial, unless it's been redialed. No evidence of that. But you can see the dial. There's the date disc. I thought they'd be quite complicated, but again, Seiko, it's dead simple. If you see it, I'll show you later. We moved off that bit. The self-winding mechanism is a genius idea. Very simple, very efficient. And at this point now, as I'm taking it apart, I realise the watch has started to run. You'll notice the watch is running. So that took me by surprise. It's always good because there's nothing seriously wrong. Probably just dirt or a bit of dial might have been causing a bit too much friction. But my plan is now to get it out of the case. There it is, out of the case. I'm taking the weight off there. And you can see that racking pull there, that's the self-winding mechanism. Again, simple, but really, really effective. Then back to the taking off on the dial side. And it's dead easy. Where that 25 is where the sliding bracket is, the sliding wheel. It's just toothed, and it just pushes it along, and it just moves it on one increment at a time. Obviously, there's a small ratchet spring at the bottom. You'll see later, that one there, that holds it into place, so it stays in your little window. And it's ever so simple. It really is. It's not. But this is for the manual set, not for the timed it. This is what they call a quick set. Rather than keep going through midnight I used to on the old ones, this just allows you to set it a bit like the hands, and you can see how you do it. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. The way you do it on the time, it's a very similar thing. You'll see when I go inside. It's a very similar thing, and it just when it goes by midnight, it turns this wheel and pushes it again. Just checking the keyless works now, mate. So again, that's different from the Swiss. Fundamentally the same, obviously, but a little bit different. But I'm dead chuffed it's running. I was like, wee. But there you go. You can see, as I say, you can see that racket pull a bit better now. It's on each side of the winding wheel, and that just winds the barrel, the mainspring up through that barrel. Taking the balance wheel off now. We'll come back to the balance wheel. This is the big thing with Seikos. I do struggle putting that back on. It's easy to put back on. It's just that hairspring there is so delicate, and it will not take any deformation. I buggered a few. They run fine. You wouldn't tell, but the spring I've bent it or damaged it somewhere, and the coils are touching when it's running, and that shortens the spring and makes it run faster. And I've just received a text, so I'll pause it here and continue. Okay, so I'm back. You can see what I'm doing there. I've took the balance wheel off, and that's that spring. And oh man, I hate them. They just honestly don't take any form of distortion. So what I'm doing here is I'm just basically going to take it apart. You see the winding mechanism at the top. I should keep going on about it because that is it's a big thing for Seikos. It's still used and it's still copied on some of the high end watches. It's just very very simple. If you look at a Swiss watch, they have wheels, counter rotating wheels and things, and it works fine. But it's a lot and it's expensive. So what I'm doing now, I'm just letting the energy out of the spring, and that's another stroke of genius in my thing. That little click, the little bit of metal I'm moving there, it's just a simple metal strip, but engages with a tooth and stops it drifting back. Again, on a Swiss watch, it's not an elaborate part, but it's a part. You need a part and a spring and a certain shape, and that just it really is just a metal strip line across, which you'll see later. So it works. It works a treat. So taking it apart now, that's yeah. If you notice, that had three stripes on the top, and that is it's a left hand thread. So you have to tighten to loosen it. And it's only a very the shaft is only a mil, two and a half a mil, 1.5 mil. So if you tighten it up, you're going to snap it off, which I did early in my early days when I were doing pocket watches. On the higher end ones, it's identified for you. So now I've moved that ratchet wheel off, just taking the tension out. And what I'm doing there, that represents in fast motion me that weight swinging round, and those two poles on that lever on that arm, they grab that ratchet wheel and they grab it and pull it. And if it turns the other way, then the other side grabs it and pulls it. So it only turns one way, which is the way to wind the spring. So again, dead simple. And the weight is geared to that as you're walking around doing stuff with, that weight is spinning around in your watch. And those racking pulls are constantly just grabbing the wheel and pulling it the same way. That's that bar I was telling you about there. Look, that it's just a metal bar, well, metal strip. Uh, taking the bridge off in a sec. Screws, the bridges. This is the bit what spans over it on a Swiss watch. They're loads better. They're really good quality. They're thick, and the screws are really countersunk. But again, on Seikos with this simplicity thing, they're more like sheets of metal than a bridge. So they're a bit fiddly to line the screws up, but I've got the hang of that now. And there it comes. Take that off, and you can see the going train. There's your wheels. And, one moment. Okay, we'll carry on pulling it apart. That's the second hands. That wheel drives the hands. You'll see that's got a long shafts on it there. I'm taking them out and with a quick look as I go out with them, as I remove them. Don't forget this is on twice the speed. So this is the good bit, the easy bit. I'm just taking it apart, checking them as they go. That's that spring, the spring clip I told you, the ratchet stop. Again, dead easy, just slots in. Another one of Seiko's things. That's the barrel. That's where the spring's inside. That drives the whole thing. Funny springs on these because it's automatic and they're not anchored in the barrel. You have to put some what they call braking grease in there to stop the spring from overwinding. With it being an automatic winder, there's no stop. So when it gets to its maximum wind, it actually slides in the barrel. But it's not really a problem. It's just different. So I'm taking the bridge off the centre wheel there. That's the centre one. That drives the whole movement. That's connected to the hour hand is on the end of that, and also your gear in for your minute hand. So I'm almost done on this side. That's the pallet fork bridge. Underneath that is that sort of anchor shaped. Effectively, they are called an anchor pallet. And that's the what goes back to and fro and really converts rotational movement into sort of sideways movement, and that allows the part of your escapement. allows the energy to step down slowly and precisely. Bit fiddly when you put them back in because the pallet fork has to be upright, and they're always at the bottom of a watch. They're buried right at the bottom, and you can't do it. You can see there I've took it off. It was attached to the bridge, which is a sign that it's a bit dirty or you've got grime on there when parts stick to other parts. I have noticed doing this that when I put parts away, like now, my arm's in front of the camera. So what's one thing I've learned is I'll put my tray on the opposite side. So I've turned it over. There's this is the dial side. That's the date disc, what you can see now. All that's got to come apart. There's 4 little screws on the top, and they are so tiny. The heads are less than 2mm. I'd say they're about 1.5mm. That's just the screw heads. They're not that bad though. Actually, I kind of like them. I think you pay a bit more attention when they're they're going to be hard. You make sure your screwdriver's all right. You sort of take a breath and get all comfortable, and because it's going to be a bit difficult. But that's the play what holds all your running gear in for your dial side, including your your date in this one, no day, and your drivetrain for your hours. You'll see what you'll see as well when I take this plate off is something I have learnt. It's always when you're taking anything off, certainly when you don't know what's in there, and I don't know what's underneath this. When you take it off, check the other side. Because remember what happened to the pallet fork that was stuck in the bridge. So I turned that over, and there's a wheel stuck on it, and it's just fell off as I lifted it off. So it's just little tiny. It's like 2 surface wheel. It's just that. So it's always you have to get into the habit. I think I did this on a few of my early watches because parts were just missing, and I didn't understand why, or I'd find them on the floor before I even knew they were missing. It's an habit you need to do. That's your date drive. You can see when it's that spring there I'm working on there, all that does, that just locks it into position. It's nothing to do with the drive. The drive is there at the 10 o'clock, and at the right hand side where the sort of 4 o'clock position where the 21 is, 20 and 19, that's your date drive. That rotates once a day. Obviously you sync it to midnight, and that you can see what that does. That engages the tooth and pushes it round. That spring at the top locks it in place, which is under your window on your dial. Taking the cannon pinion off there, that's pretty straightforward, and blocking the camera up with my arm, which is what I've done. Clearly that's what I'm doing. Won't do it on the next one. Yeah, just pulling it down now. The springs, these weren't bad, but you always have to be careful with them as well, because sometimes they're under a hell of a lot of tension, and if you take a part of you shouldn't, or when you're trying to pry it off, they don't fly away, they disappear. They're just in this universe, and then they're not. They just go. They just disappear. 1 minute they're in front of you, and they've gone, and you never see them again. So you have to be very careful with that. Sometimes I've seen some people polish heat over them. Some of the Swiss watches I do because they're under a lot of tension. These weren't too bad, to be fair. So I'm just looking at this because it's the first time I've done this. I was trying to work out how it works. And that part there, that's the cam what pushes. That slides on that wheel there. Yeah, on your date wheel, and it's got a pin what holds it in. So I'm assuming the pin was what you sync it with the midnight. I don't know. It works straightforward. I just copied that bit without fully understanding it. Right, a coat. Take the wheel off. Again, a lot of these parts didn't want to come off, which shows it's old dry grease. That spring there was under loads of pressure. It really was. That was bolted in, so it was a bit easier. Again, tiny screws on this. Tiny. So it's nearly apart now. This is the easy bit out of the way. You've took it apart. You may have spotted a few things what you'll need to replace. The standard one is the spring. You always have to face that issue. Do you stick a new spring in? They're not expensive. Seiko recommends you don't open the barrel and do their spring. You buy the whole thing with the barrel, with the gear. They're about 12 to £15. I haven't, but I don't know. I have changed one spring as well, but I don't know. We'll see. So it's all there. What I'll do is pre-clean that, and this is the back. And what I found at the back was really interesting. There's 4 scribes on it where it had been serviced. They're service marks. So there's somebody's signature and name and a date. And the first date was 74, which was, really good, because it's 3-4 years for your before you get a watch serviced. So it does put the watch to about well, it puts the watch, I'd say, at 1970. But it was really good, and it's good because you know your watch is at a service like a car. Of course, good service histories. But first time I've seen it. But there it is. It's all there. Next time you see it, it'll have been washed, pre-washed, and ready to go, put back together. Okay, that's it. Thank you. And like, subscribe, and do all the stuff you normally do. Thank you.